For what it is, it's surprisingly well detailed, and honestly, again, for the price point, which we will allude back to that, it's really well done. And honestly, especially the jaw paint right here, like all the mouth stuff, teeth are really well painted. Tongue is surprisingly really well painted with some nice purples in there, gums, kind of dark reds. Everything's just kind of thrown together really well. So when it's all said and done for sculpting paint, you really got your mileage varied. But I think at the end of the day, the winner for this round has to be either one of these two. I'm going to leave it to a tie, but these ones to honorable mentions. So they both get a tie point. They don't. All right, round two. This is four fingers. Round two, two. There you go. Articulation. So usually when I would pose or do the articulation, I'd actually demonstrate it on camera, and so on and so forth. Not gonna happen with this because of how much Kongs there are on this thing, and time and whatnot. It doesn't seem worth it for me to just go ahead and analyze everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what the figures do have in common with each other, what they have exclusively, and what they don't have in common with each other. So let's go ahead and kind of analyze this. So all five figures that you see on the screen can move their heads from side to side, as they'll have a swivel-like motion. The Playmates 2017 Kong Skull Island, the Mezco's King Kong of Skull Island, and the NECA King Kong all have different style of joints where it's not just a basic swivel, so that allows them to move up, down, and actually twist to the sides. And debatably, again, they are kind of on barbell styles. He's on a flat out hinge, and these two are on barbell style ball joints. Let's see. All of them have shoulder movement, with him being the only one of all four not to have additional joints in the shoulders or the arms in general. All of them have some sort of swivel hinge combo, with his being the least ranged, but he makes up for that by having an elbow hinge. All these guys have an elbow hinge. Well, specifically these three, he doesn't. He doesn't have anything, so we're just going to exclude him for the rest of the arm round. But the difference between these three and him is that these three can rotate their shoulders. Sorry, their elbows. He can't. All four of them can rotate their wrists, and he has clenched in fingers, which allow him to go like on a hinge. These two have ball joints at the shoulders. Well, wrists, I mean. At least I think it's... No, he has swivel hinge, but I mean, it's ball joint, yes. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that. All three of the Playmates Kongs do not have any sort of waist movement, but these two have plenty of good waist movement, having a barbell style ball joint that allows them to go up, down, twist side to side, lean side to side, and whatnot. All five of them have a rotation at the hips. He actually is the least range, which this is the only time I'm going to do this, as if you pull it in like that, that's its limit here, and that's the limit there. So you can't really get a 360, so it's very limited, even if you want to just count it as a basic rotation. While everyone else is pretty much almost unlimited. Everyone else has like a swivel hinge joint to them, except with the exception of him. He has flat out ball joints. Everyone else has swivel hinge combos, except he has like a funky system. He has like his his thigh connected into a ball peg that plugs into the body. So technically it has two joints that can rotate in and out. But still, either one has the ability to do so. All four of them, not counting Kong Skull Island, has a hinge at the knee, which allows them to go back and forth, when these two having a swivel kind of ball joint-esque movement. And these two surprisingly lose out on the feet. He has foot articulation that allows it to go side to side. He has foot articulation that's on a ball joint, and he has feet articulation that are awkwardly pegged in, but going at an angle, but allows him to kind of like spread out his legs and kind of get a more dynamic stance out of Kong. So overall, that's kind of like a really great way to kind of show off the posability. So now that we've gone over pretty much the articulation segment, who wins in what category? So pros and cons. Him. Pros, He's definitely well articulated, at least for what he is. But the problem is that he his articulation isn't what is really selling the figure. We'll get into it in a sec, but the articulation is really what seems to be a much more of a second thought. And as a result of this, his range isn't as good as it could be. See these arms? Yeah, you heard that click, and we'll get that into a sec. But this is literally all he can do. The elbow range isn't great. The wrist swivels are just they're swivels. And the clenched in fingers just kind of look awkward. Like, what is he trying to do? So, yeah. Also, the leg articulation is decently ranged. I mean, it's nothing too bad. It's nothing too great. But for what it is, it's fine. It has a lot of segments. So, there you go. Kong Skull Island has the right ideas. It's very Bandai Vinyl-esque, featuring, again, very moved, very great head articulation, and actually matches that of the NECA and Mezco in head range and foot swivels. But that's only 3 joints total compared to how much joints they have. The only other possibility he has are these shoulder swivels and these limited leg swivels. Newsflash, that's not going to win him any points. So, unfortunately, he has a lot of cons to him. He is basically the most well-balanced of all the Playmates Kongs. And I just heard my dryer go off. Good head articulation, shoulders great, elbows great, wrist great, and pretty much has everything except for waist and feet articulation. I can't really put any cons on it, because again, it's very well posable. If I had to put one con in, maybe I would have liked the more decent head swivel, because I mean, it can swivel alright, but it doesn't have much range like to look up and down, which is something Kong would be doing if he's looking up at a bigger kaiju, aka Godzilla, or Mechagodzilla. I've just realized my camera went blurry. There we go. Mezco pretty much has... would I really say you have any flaws? No. You're fairly solid. You're very well articulated. I will say it's a bit stiff, but with time, you can't loosen it up a bit. But I will say, like, the knee range doesn't really have any merit to it, and the feet, honestly, take it or leave it. They're really limited. Like, they don't even have any real swivel to them. Hold on. Yeah, like, pushing it, this is really it. And despite the fact they are connected, I was about to pop it, connected on ball joints. NECA is pretty much the only pure perfect Kong. It has everything that you need from a Kong figure, minus the jaw articulation, but that has future repaint that would have allowed that. So pretty much has everything you need. Shoulders, wrists, hips, waist, feet, head, elbows, shoulders. I think I already said shoulders. Knees. Again, now I'm just repeating body parts. It has everything you need. It really does. Has nothing really of bad merit to it. So if I had to go ahead and select a Kong figure to win this point, it would actually go to the NECA. Again, he was really close if he had more posability. And if he had like better head articulation and feet posability, he would probably either tie Mezco or win the point against NECA, maybe. But either way, point goes to the NECA.